How do you overcome sustainability challenges with emerging technologies as the business needs and our markets are continuously changing? So before I get into the topic, let me tell you a little bit about myself as well. So going to the next slide, Prasanna. So as you can see, I'm Sailaja Mullangi, and I'm an industry veteran. I worked mostly in IT all my career. I started my career at Cisco as an engineer, mostly doing development in Oracle technologies and building a lot of tax-related applications. And yeah, so and also worked in a lot of commerce-related applications. Like if you want to buy something from Cisco, you will go to cisco.com and place an order. So those are some of the applications that myself and my team has worked on. And I hope you guys, did try to buy something from Cisco. If not, please do try that. And I also worked extensively in and in the meantime, Cisco has shifted its gears in the business models from selling just the hardware products to selling end-to-end solutions and ventured into the software segment as well. And multiple business models have also evolved. So, and I started working on the cloud-related aspects and enabling these business models. So there's a lot of changing market trends and needs, and Cisco does give us a lot of career opportunities to adapt to these changes, to learn and also grow with the ever evolving business of Cisco. So moving to the next slide. So let's understand a little bit about why organizations change the technologies, and if we do that, we will soon, and if we don't do that, we will soon become irrelevant from the skill set standpoint, and the companies will also become quite irrelevant from the market standpoint. So it's absolutely important that we continue to evolve, we continue to adopt to the changing needs of the market. And the pace of this change is accelerating. So if you move to the next slide, right, the pace of the change is like accelerating really fast. And if you can see here how the industry trends are changing. 90% of the internet users all access via mobile device by 2017. And if you see the autonomous connected devices are like a huge number, right, by 2020, and we're already seeing that. It's such a connected world. And mobile applications download is like significantly increasing. And the data is going to double every year. And that's what has been noticed from 2012 to now. The data is like literally, doubling at a very, very, very fast pace. So when the industry is changing this fast and the pace of the change has also like is doubling and tripling, it's not like we're going to see a change in 5 years and 2 years, but every year that the change is happening. So the change is accelerating and we have to keep up with it, right? Absolutely. Let me walk you through a little bit of one of the case studies of supply chain, right? How the supply chain was in Cisco, and what are some of the things that we have to do to adapt to the changing trends of the industry, and what are the technologies also we have to adopt to kind of stay relevant in the market. So moving to the next slide, Krishna. Good. Yeah. So this is our, the supply chain process that we follow when an order comes in for Cisco through either cisco.com or through the phone or through the fax or through any of, we have multiple channels on how an order can be placed in Cisco. So once the order is placed, right, of course, we continue to innovate in our product side as well. And then we do the planning of the product on how do we manufacture the product and what is the best location for it to get manufactured, because we have manufacturing sites across the globe and most of the manufacturing of course happens in China. And there is a big sourcing track as well, where all the materials get sourced from a very high quality vendors, and there's a lot of testing that happens on the kind of material that is coming in for the manufacturing, and then the actual core manufacturing takes place. And post that, Cisco's products are expensive, but there is still a lot of market for the Cisco's products because of the quality, because of the differentiators that we have, like quality and innovation. And finally, of course, right, the products needs to get delivered to wherever the customer would like us to deliver. So this is a typical supply chain process that we follow, right, in Cisco and probably in the industry as well. So go moving to the next slide. Um, and you have seen the end-to-end fulfillment of the supply chain. And Cisco has been able to do a wonderful job at it, right? We are able to fulfill like 40 billion worth of orders following the model. But can we continue to do that? Can we continue to follow the same model? Can we continue to sustain in the market? And can we continue to grow in the market, right, with a similar model? Because the market is changing. The market is continuously changing. It is continuously evolving. And for us to create a sustainable growth model, we got to change as well. And right now, at that point, at one point, we were only selling boxes, right? And only selling boxes is not going to cut it. And you can see on the slide there some of the challenges that we have. Solutions, and we need to be able to scale to the changes that are coming in, and the skill set shifts as well that happens, right? Both internal to Cisco and also the partners that we source it from. And we've got to keep our supply chain very, very distributed as well. So with so many, and the customer demands, of course, right? They continuously change. And we got to keep up with all of these changes. And that's when Cisco started shifting their business model from being a more hardware sort of based company to more software based company. And instead of just selling boxes, we also need to move into selling solutions, right? We need to be able to connect the dots end to end. If you're ordering a networking gear, we need to be able to sell you the end to end networking gear along with software installed and with the security installed and with some of the analytics on the top of it. So there's a lot of intelligence and there's a lot of end to end connectivity that the customers are expecting. So that's when we started shifting our gears from just selling the hardware boxes to selling the end to end solutions. And at the same time, and at the same time, we also had to move into the software model. In this situation, I'm sure you're all very familiar with the Netflixes and Amazons, and I'm sure there is a very high usage of those applications. And those are very, very popular. Those are very, very famous because they are subscription-based models. You pay per use, and you don't have to continue to pay for it if you don't want to use it. And that's what the industry is moving towards. That's what our customers are looking forward. That hey, based on my consumption, based on the need that I have, I need to be able to shift on what I use, what I don't use. And that's when Cisco had to move into a more software-based model and more subscription-based model and come up with a lot of ordering models for customers where they can sort of subscribe themselves to the kind of services that they want, and they should be able to ramp off and ramp up as needed. So that's a big shift that we have to do, right? From selling boxes to selling end-to-end solutions, and from selling end-to-end solutions, we have to shift into the software. And moving into the software, we need to be enabling all the subscription-based models, like WebEx, right? Right now, we are all using WebEx here. So WebEx is a software, and it is on subscription based. So you sort of buy a particular model saying, okay, I need 10,000 hours, and I need like 500 meetings, and I need like 200 meeting events for the next 1 year. And if I go over this, then what will be my costing, right? So do I pay another $2 per hour, or do I pay another $4 per hour? So it is basically you will have a base model, and then you will have a model on how you sort of ramp up and ramp down on it. So that will give a lot of flexibility for the customers on their costing as well. And we were able to quickly adopt to all of those needs. And today Cisco is like very, very relevant to the market, and we have a lot of market in hardware. We have a lot of market in end-to-end solutions, and as well as in the software business as well, because we are able to quickly adapt to the changing needs of the business, and adopt to the new technologies, which will enable us and support us to these changing trends in the business. And that's why it's extremely important for us to embrace the new technologies for us to stay relevant in the market. So moving to the next slide, Priscilla. Good. Uh, so we got to make the big bets on our technologies with so many changing trends and of the business needs and the customers and the markets and the geopolitical conditions. We got to make our big bets on our technologies like data analytics. We have to focus on data analytics, on predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. Who are the customers who are coming up for a renewal? And who are the potential customers that we could lose because there was any fluctuations in their business? Or, what are some of the markets that we are not captured yet? Right? All of that feed comes to us through data analytics. So that's a technology that we had to adopt, and we have to have the skill set for machine learning, for AI and ML, and we got to be really good at it for us to see the results. So based on that, how do we shift our business models also to cater to those companies who are moving more and more to the cloud? And the collaboration technologies and the mobility. So everybody is mobile these days, whether it is our salespeople or even our customers and our partners. So we got to adopt the mobile technologies as well, and not just adopt, but be ahead of everything. So for us to stay relevant and for us to continue to capture the market and stay ahead, we got to do our big bets on the technology, and that's why it becomes extremely important for us, for any of us, right, to continue to adopt these new technologies that are out there for us to remain sustainable, for us to remain relevant as well. So moving to the next slide. Okay. Yeah, so this is the data analytics. So I didn't want to elaborate on every single aspect out there, but just wanted to throw an example about leveraging the data analytics itself. So today we had to adopt data analytics in a big way, and we have an entire function in Cisco dedicated to the data analytics. So it's called the data analytics office, and so we have committed a lot of dollars and a lot of focus to make sure that we stay on the top of on our data. We have to understand our data, we have to understand our customers, and we need to understand how the market trends are, what are the geopolitical changes that are happening, and feed it into through our machines, so that way we stay ahead of the curve. So leveraging these technologies becomes extremely important for us to sustain in the market. So moving to the next slide. Good. Yeah. So that big shift that we have done in supply chain, right? So from just manufacturing the boxes and to sort of move into the end-to-end solutions and then move into the cloud softwares like WebEx and Umbrella and Merathi and all of these products. We got to do it fast, and we got to do it leveraging all the new technologies that are out there. And today, Cisco in supply chain, it is the number one. So this year, Cisco has become the number one in the Gartner supply chain. And that's a major, major accomplishment for us. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we were not adopting and changing with the changes in the market. Okay. Good. So moving to the next slide. Right. So here I would like to bring in a little bit perspective about people as well. When the market is changing so fast, and when company is adapting to all of those changes, the employees also need to do that. Like, I've been in the IT industry for 20 years now, and unless you're upgrading yourself, unless you're looking at, okay, what's the new technologies out there, you cannot say that, okay, these are one or two technologies that I'm good at, and I'm going to stick with them. I really love working in those technologies. It does not work, right? You've got to be evolving. You've got to be learning, and you've got to be changing with the trends that are out there. And if a company has to change and adopt new technologies to sustain in the market, employees have to do the same if you have to sustain in the market too. And if you want to stay relevant to the company and also have a good job market for yourself, whether within the company or even outside the company. So moving to the next slide. So here let me quickly summarize, right? So the sustainability challenges for the IT industry. It's because of the changing customers' behaviors and the business stakeholders and the rapid digitization that's happening out there, right? And the life cycle is getting shorter and shorter. The time and the time that a customer gives you to sort of turn around because he needs to capture his market is becoming shorter and shorter. So you should be able to be very agile and sort of adopt very, very quickly to the changing needs and reduce your product life cycle. So earlier we used to follow a lot of waterfall model. Our projects used to be like 6 months to 1 year, and by the time you release those products out there, the customer might not even be needing those products anymore. So now it's all agile based, and in the shorter life cycles, right? And you get the feedback from the customers again, you start improvising on those products, but they got to be shorter life cycle of the products and more releases happening. And of course, cost reduction and cost optimization, right, is something that we all have to stay focused. Our operational expenditure cannot keep increasing year on year. We have to look at creative ways on how do you keep our cost under control, and constant watch on what are the geopolitical situations. Like, just think of the COVID situation right now. No one has ever imagined a situation like this. And when situations like this arise, you have to innovate very, very quickly. You don't have time. You don't have time. So you have to innovate really quickly and be able to deliver the products that the customers need. Like, for example, the usage of WebEx have like increased multifold, right, just overnight with the COVID situation, because all companies have moved to work from home, and the load on the servers has significantly increased, and we had to quickly change, and we had to adopt and increase our WebEx capacity so that we will be able to scale to the customer's needs. And we have also rolled out free WebEx for a lot of customers out there as well. So that's a quick change that we have to do, and we have to quickly innovate to make that happen. And continuous focus on talent, right? And we have to be able to attract good talent. We need to be able to retain the good talent, and we need to be able to retrain and give that opportunity and platform to the employees as well, so that they can continuously evolve themselves and and be relevant and support the company through the transformational and innovative changes. Okay. Moving to the next slide, and I think this is my last slide, and I already spoke a little bit about that, right? So there is a company aspect, and of course, right, when we are making the company successful, we always have to look at, okay, what is in it for me as well, right? So am I growing along with the company or not? And for me to be able to do that, I need to be staying relevant. I need to be focusing on networking. I need to be focusing on understanding the market and continue to grow and evolve and change myself, right? And you can do that by doing a lot of self-learning. There are just so many tools now, methods out there, that you should be able to focus a lot on your self-learning and keeping yourself relevant and keeping yourself at the top. Good. So that's my little pitch on right, on sustainability, with ever-changing technologies that are out there, and how do you leverage the technology for the companies to sustain in the market, and not just for the companies, the employees as well. So that brings to the end of my presentation, and are we taking any questions, Prasanna?
Yeah. Ashwini, any questions from your side? Just a minute. Just a minute, please. So, if you have any questions, kindly type it in the chat window or the Q&A. Give me a minute, please.
Sure, sure. Fine, if there are no questions also.
So, well, I had a personal question from my end. Am I audible to you in the first place? Hello, hello.
Yes.
Am I audible? Yeah. So,
Yes.
sustainability, you gave a wonderful talk that was so very crisp and illustrative as well. So, my what you say apprehensions was that in the fast changing times, maybe it's very difficult to lose sight of many things. I'm not talking of the hard core values, but I'm talking about the margins, profits, and so on and so forth. So we kind of get very short sighted. So in the course of say reaping quick profits for the next 1 or 2 quarters, we lose sight of what next. So any inputs regarding this, say how do you actually keep your focus with a long term uh, upshot at sight?
Right, right. Yeah, good question, good question. Ashwini, so we always have to have a bigger vision, right? We always have to have a bigger vision of where do we want to get to in the next like 2 to 3 years. And this particular vision is actually earlier the companies used to have like a vision out there for the next 5 years or out there for the next 10 years. And now it's changing, right? Because the markets are changing so fast. I mean, you cannot be just binded to something for 5 years and 10 years from now, but the cycles are becoming a lot more shorter. So the vision these days are more reducing to like 1 years and 2 years of the vision. So you got to keep aside of your right the immediate needs as well, just as the COVID situation, right? I mean, we never imagined that something like this is going to happen. So you got to be able to be nimble, right? Companies having the ability to be nimble becomes extremely important, that we should be able to quickly adapt and change whatever happens in the market which you do not expect. And at the same time, yes, you do need to have a vision of 2 to 3 years, so that way you don't lose sight on what is your larger and bigger achievement that you would like to do on a longer term basis. So staying nimble and at the same time having that longer term vision becomes very important, actually. Very important.
Many thanks. Any personal inputs that we can actually draw from you in terms of strike? Like, this is the first thing that's come. Like and all the countries, but there have been tougher times. So, any inputs from your end as to how you were actually able to come through testing times? Some takeaway for the participants, if possible, please.
Uh, yeah, sure. Right, from my experience, right, stay true to what you believe in, right, and don't let anyone take your spirits down, um, right, and never say never, right, and don't let anybody pull you down or don't believe in words like never. If you like to do it, you should be able to achieve it. So those are extremely important. And the job that you do, no matter what the job is, give your 100% to it, right? Don't do a half-hearted job. Give your 100% at it, and don't become a generalist, right? So for you to sort of stay sustainable, don't ever be a generalist, right? Don't try to broad brush yourself. It is not possible for anybody to become a master of everything. So don't broad brush yourself. And now the world is not about being a generalist, but now the world is all about being a specialist. So understand where your passion is, understand what you're really good at and what you really like, and then go deeper in that particular subject. And when you have that strength, I think you will always be a winner. And at the same time, be fun to work with, right? Always be fun to work with. Be fun to be someone that people enjoy being with,
Mm,
right?
true.
That becomes very important too in the life, right? And if you could be a very very smart guy, you could solve the problem in no time.
Very true.
But if you're
True.
not fun to be around with, you will not be able to sustain in the market. Yep. So keep your fun element also up there. Yes.
Any more questions in the chat window? So, well, I do not see any questions here because you kind of covered all the bases. So, thank you so much. It was a wonderful session. Thank you. Look forward to seeing more of you. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much,
On behalf.
Professor Rashmi and Professor Sujata, to
Thank you,
being
Ms.
on this.
Sailaja, for taking us through the sustainability challenges with emerging technologies, especially the IT industry. As we told, the use of WebEx has really increased multifold due to the COVID pandemic. Yeah, thank you once more. On behalf of IEEE Bangalore section and WAE, I thank you for sharing your experiences here.
Yeah, thank you, Sadhana, madam.
Thank you.
I was about to call for, yeah, right. Thank you so much.